Well, we're back. It wasn't a month layoff this time. It was only 5 days, 4 days? No,
5 days.
five
5 days.
days. But we're back with the 31305 podcast, episode 20, the big 2-0. We are a quarter of the way to episode 100. No, a fifth of the way. I'm bad at math. A fifth of the way to episode 100.
Auburn education.
That Auburn education. Glad I'm in debt for that one. But episode 20 coming at you this week. A lot of news, a lot of controversy in sports this week. Not too much actual sporting going on besides playoff, but who cares about the playoffs? We care about the drama,
hmm
and I'll ask my co-host how he's doing, and then we'll get right into the drama because I am excited about this episode.
Best thing about sports is it's more than just sports. Okay, this is why we love it. It's not just what happens on the field; it's what happens between the pitches, the baskets, and off the field and off the court. And we've got some juicy stories coming out this week that we're going to cover, even from yesterday. I mean, we'll get right into it. If you want to start with
Yeah,
our favorite new young thug in the
yeah.
NBA.
The first person to ever make it from the NBA to the hood, none other than Ja Morant. In the news again after last season being in the news for flashing a gun, bringing a gun on a plane, and being suspended, what was it, 8 games by Adam Silver.
Yeah,
Um, Again, is on Instagram Live, taunting, flaunting, portraying a gun. Um, Again, it's against what policy is it? Because I mean, I know it's not illegal to have a gun if you're an NBA player, is it? Or is it completely
it's
illegal?
it's illegal to brandish one and promote
Okay.
violence. Yeah, it has to do with their general NBA PA, the
All
Players
right.
Association, like the bargaining agreement that they have, is that they have to be role models, representatives for the community. So anything
Yeah.
against that, it's like a big no-no.
Because I was gonna say like they should still have their Second Amendment right as Americans to carry, but
Yeah,
Ja Morant on Instagram Live playing with a gun, acting like a thug, as some would call him on ESPN. I'm looking at you. What's his? Oh shit! What's his name?
Stephen A. Smith,
No, not Steve. Well, yeah, him, but Skip.
Skip Bayless.
Skip. Just not a good look for Ja, especially after he just got suspended literally a few months ago for this exact same thing. It turns out that Adam Silver had a discussion with Ja last time, saying that he thinks he's learned his lesson and that Ja's going to do better and be better. And even Ja came out and said that. And then a few months later, he does the same thing. So what do you think of the situation? Rumor is that it's going to be a lengthy suspension. I haven't heard anything on how long it could be. Some speculate an entire season. It could be half the season. But what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, listen, they even met with the commissioner. He met with the commissioner, promised to do better. The Grizzlies really supported him after he had missed so many games. And we're like, oh, okay, you're in it, whatever, we just move on. But now it's not an isolated incident. Now it's like this is who you are as a person. And for Memphis, it stinks because they already have one drama-filled queen in Brooks. Dylan Brooks is going to lead the organization. And now they might have another one of a different kind of controversy. I mean, if I'm the NBA, it's got to be half a season at
Yeah,
least.
you have to send a
Like,
message at this point.
you can't just continue allowing this to happen. Jaw needs to enter some kind of like program to allow this not to occur. And people were even blaming the people around Jaw because they were the ones videotaping and leaking all this. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a freaking gun in his hand twice on video. Like, I think he needs to get his act together and try not to be the first person to make it out of the NBA and just focus on
Dylan Brooks might beat him to that one, but
Dylan Brooks might be it, but that's for his actual on court shenanigans. But I think for Jaw, he just needs to realize: does he want to do this for the rest of his life? Does he want to send this message to the kids? I'm not very of the mind of shut up and dribble, but he needs to just lay low and not
oh,
have any kind of thing.
absolutely.
He needs to not have this happen. Like for the next 2 years, he can't do anything stupid.
Yeah, you would think after what had just happened, I mean, a lot of people wanted longer than an 8 game suspension. You would
hmm
think he would have lay low, don't cause issues for a while and you'll be fine. But here he is again, less than probably what 6 months, because we've talked it on the pod before, so it's been less than 5 months, I believe,
Yeah.
since he was suspended. I think the NBA needs to send a message here that this is not acceptable behavior. He is, what they consider a repeat offender. If this was the first time, I still think it should have been like a 10 to 15 game suspension, but we're past
hmm
that point. I think he definitely needs to be suspended. I'd say at least half a season to set the message. Like, this is not what we want to promote. You've told us you were going to do better. He did go to it was some sort of, I don't recall exactly what, not a rehab, but it was more of, there was a,
Yeah, it was some kind of like rehabilitation,
yeah,
like training to like
yeah,
better himself about gun violence and
yeah.
gun prevention. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
you can't say I'm going to be better and then 4 months later do it. So I'm with whatever kind of suspension they want to hand down. I think it's good. But yeah, are the Grizzlies the worst run team in the league right now? With Dylan
Well,
Brooks, Ja Morant. I mean, this has to be like one of the most hapless organizations out there with
I
just
mean,
how
you
out
can
of
look,
control it is.
yeah, out of control, definitely. I'm about to say, you could say Brooklyn, you could say
Yeah, maybe
Houston, you
not
could
front
say,
office run, but just like the
yeah,
worst.
just players.
Yeah,
I think someone even mentioned when Ja got suspended originally about how the entire Memphis scene right now is not very conducive to promoting well-being in the general area. Basketball players have seemed to follow up on this for the team in Memphis. Um, they just gotta like don't get caught into the drama of your city or enthralled in whatever could be happening. You just gotta like again, not shut up and dribble, but don't be stupid. Just focus on
yeah,
your craft, focus on being helpful in your community and not getting into the bad parts of it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you want to represent what's everything good about your area and your community, not what's bad. Right now,
yeah.
Jaw's doing the opposite.
And I mean, yeah, you could have the argument of, well, like, oh, he's buying into the Memphis, the neighborhood, and how Memphis is not a great area. This place is. There's a team in Chicago. You hear no issues about this with the Bulls. There's a team in Detroit. You hear no issues with the Pistons, other than Isaiah Stewart trying to 1v5 the Lakers team a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like, there's rough areas across the country that teams are in, and I mean, you never hear of these issues. So I definitely think Memphis front office needs to get a handle on this situation before it gets worse. And then, the last thing I want to touch on, that draft. What was it, 2019?
Yeah, 2019.
Is it crazy to say RJ Barrett might be the best pick out of those, out of that draft? So at least the top three, because you got Zion, who barely touches the court at this point in his career because of his weight. You've got Ja, who might be suspended for an entire year. We don't know what's going to happen with him. And I mean, RJ Barrett was the third pick. So if you had to do a redraft right now,
Hmm.
knowing what's going on with with Zion and RJ's productivity, would you take RJ Barrett number one?
I would argue Tyler Hero because he's actually won an award there.
Okay,
But
I'm talking like the top three though, not just
top
overall in the
three,
draft. Yeah.
I think you still take Ja and hope you can convince him to not be a dumbass or like hope that he's not in Memphis.
I think
Like if I'll tell you, if Ja Morant was drafted to the Pelicans, if Ja Morant was drafted to Minnesota, this is not an issue. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I think it has to do with him, but like there's a picture of him wearing glasses while playing at Murray State his second season. Like
Oh
he
yeah, that
is a
kid was a
good,
nerd.
yeah, the kid was a bona fide geek. Like I think it's just him now with all the fame, notoriety, the money, getting enthralled up in the bad parts of that area. Again, he has to take a personal responsibility for himself also. If he's in another organization, like if he's with the Heat, there's no way this happens.
Oh
There's no way this
God, no.
happens. Like if he's with the Lakers, the Warriors, if he's with one of the upper like 20 organizations in the NBA, there's no way this happens. And I thought Memphis was one of them, but apparently not. But I would argue RJ Barrett. I would argue RJ Barrett
Yeah.
for one.
Like
I would.
it's a fair conversation to have at this point. Where like we don't know where John's gonna be. Zion is a bust at this point. Like is RJ Barrett the most successful player out of that top three that was picked? Like that's crazy to
No.
think. But it's definitely viable. Yeah. Hope that John can figure it out. I don't know when they plan on. I know they're doing an investigation, so I don't know if they plan on making a suspension anytime soon. But we'll keep you guys updated when we hear things. But we did have action on the court. Round two wrapping up earlier this week or what over the
Over the
weekend?
weekend
Yeah,
and
over
this
the
weekend.
weekend. We'll start in LA. The Los Angeles LeBrons, because at this point, that's all that they have. Get by the Golden State Warriors in game six. It was in LA, right? Yeah,
Game six was in LA. LA has not lost at home.
that's crazy. Game six, Clay did not show up. I had thought he would. Last episode, I said game six, Clay, you never count out the Warriors. I picked him to win. They
Hmm.
did not. Game six, Clay, I think he went like 3 for 18. And after
Yeah,
the game, it's like,
awful.
yeah, this is on me. The Lakers end up winning at home. They they beat the shit out of them too. And like I said, a series that would have been fun 5 years ago, but now the Lakers get to go up against the likes of Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and a guy named Nikola Jokic back to back. I'm gonna say it, back to back to back MVP. He deserved it, and we'll touch on it in a little bit. This guy should be a three-time MVP. I don't know what kind of chances the Lakers have against them. We'll talk about predictions coming up, but what do you make of the Lakers getting past the defending champions, Golden State Warriors, in six?
It showed that the Warriors never reached the peak that they had last season. Winning a championship's hard. Repeating is even harder. So, the Warriors were able to do that before when they had everyone was a little bit younger, not so injury prone. They have a guy named Kevin Durant on the roster. Definitely helps.
Yeah, that usually
For the
helps. Well, sometimes it helps. Well,
Yeah, for the Lakers, I think also health is a big thing. Like the Warriors had some, some injuries, but the Lakers have been healthy the entire postseason. They haven't had to deal with a big injury to any one of their players,
other than
which,
AD's, typical,
like, he
you
never missed a
know,
game. Like, he had a
he
head
left early
injury
with
from
the
game five.
concussion, had to be wheeled out like Paul Pierce.
Yeah, but overall, I think the Lakers are peaking at the right time. This is kind of the same as it was during the bubble. The Lakers are peaking at the right time, role players stepping up. Lonnie Walker gives me very similar KCP vibes. Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, very similar role players that they have around LeBron and AD. And the Warriors, I mean, every time AD got the ball, you were like, they're not going to stop him because they had Draymond on him, who's 3 inches shorter and it's not in his athletic prime anymore. And it just that's why I picked the Lakers to win because I knew the Lakers are going to win this series. For the Warriors, it'll be interesting to see if they can keep this group together. Curry is the only one really on a super long term deal. Clay could be traded if he doesn't get a pay cut.
Yeah,
Draymond is,
there's rumors that Clay is going to be traded. So
yeah. I
I,
mean,
I'm
they need to retool. They have Moses Moody on their roster, who they love. They have pieces, but they just need to figure out which ones work. They have Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, so I don't know if they make a big splashy trade for another star or they just retool, but it'll be interesting to see what the Warriors do this offseason.
Yeah, that's gonna be what I think everyone's gonna be watching in the offseason is this dynasty gonna stay together with Steph, Clay, and Draymond? If I had to guess, either one of not Steph, sorry, either one of Clay or Draymond is gonna leave. I know Draymond said on his podcast he was gonna decide what he wanted to do, and there are active trade rumors revolving Clay Thompson. I don't think Steph's going anywhere, but they do have pieces. I mean, if they wanted to trade Clay, a team with that needs veteran leadership and shooting is going to go after Clay. He's going to have a market, as will Draymond Green if he decides that he wants out. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason because next year it could be just Steph Curry on this team. Like, I don't know what I'd give their chances if it's just Steph, if they go for the full rebuild. Um, Obviously, any team with Steph on it is dangerous, but this might, and we've said it before. Everyone said it, 4 or 5 times. Like, is this the end of the Golden State Warriors dynasty? I think we're starting to see the cracks of it.
Especially because, I mean, Curry is not going to slow down. Like, I know he's getting
No,
older, but his style of play is like,
his style is perfect for playing longer in his age.
and minutes playing wise, like he was injured a lot in his earlier part of his career, so he didn't play that many minutes. Of course, he
Yeah,
still had wear and tear on his body from all the playoffs, but I mean, you're going to have Steph Curry still doing Steph Curry things for at least another 4 years, three
yeah,
years.
oh,
So
easily. He's gonna average over 20 points probably until he retires. Like, he is not gonna slow down anytime soon.
I think their next biggest thing they need to figure out is who is the big to put next to Steph Curry.
Yeah, I
Like
don't.
they have
Kevon
so many
Looney is not
wing
the answer.
yeah, they have so many wing pieces. Clay, Poole, they've got Wiggins, they have Moody, they have so many wing pieces. I think they just need to trade for a big. I don't know what big is gonna be
Well, I mean,
available
you just traded your number, what was he, 2 overall, James Wiseman? You just traded him to Detroit. I mean, I know
because they kind of knew he
he's a
wasn't.
reclamation project at this point, but maybe a change of
They were
scenery for
hoping it'd be
James.
him.
Yeah, but I mean, you did just trade your big draft investment to
Hmm.
Detroit, so you really don't have much of anything big wise now, especially if Draymond leaves.
Yeah, so I think that's the next step. But like you said, I'm interested to see what they do in the offseason. And for the Lakers, I mean, they're not the best team. When you saw the Lakers Warriors matchup, like you said, 5 years ago would have been great. But even then, the Lakers didn't go out and like except for this last game, show that they're such a better team. They played sloppy at times. They're kind of carefree at the ball. And I think the Nuggets are gonna. We'll talk about them in a second, but I don't. I think they have to work it out for them to make it to the finals again, like they did in the bubble.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think this goes to show that the NBA is scripted. LeBron has made another Western Conference Finals with a ragtag team of, I mean, injured Anthony Davis, Jordan. If there's no baddies in the arena, I'm not shooting well pool.
Yeah.
Um, Jonathan Kaminga, who was also another decently high pick for him, I don't think has really done much. It'll be interesting. Oh wait, why did I just say? What am I talking about? Bro, I'm tripping.
You started talking about the Lakers and you
Yeah,
switched to the
I just
Warriors.
started talking about the boy.
The Warriors.
I'm tripping, man. It's been a weird day, but yeah, no, the Lakers are. I was trying to talk about like Austin Reeves. I just started
And
talking
you went
about
to Jonathan Kaminga.
yeah. But yeah, the Lakers definitely have their work cut out for them. We didn't have well, we had all four series, but your team, the Miami Heat, was able to close out the Knicks in Miami. Hemi Butler.
Hmm.
This isn't the Heat also like aren't a great team. They were the 8 seed. They kind of remind you of the Lakers with one like really good player, and that's he carries them, and that's Jimmy Butler. Um, Kyle Lowry's kind of meh. I know you're not a
Hmm.
huge fan of Kyle Lowry. Bam Adebayo, I feel like hasn't like done anything exceptional in the playoffs, but Jimmy Butler is him. Tyler Hero should be coming back too, right? If they make the finals.
Finals. And it's even then, it's going to be like game 2 or 3. Like the good thing about a hand injury is he's able to work out everything else. So
Yeah.
he's in shape. He just can't dribble a ball or shoot it. So he can at least be in athletic shape when they come back. It's just making sure they don't rush it too early and then they got a sprain they got to deal with. But he could be
I
back.
but I will give you your victory corner here. I counted the Heat out. I said that they wouldn't even get past the Bucks. I said they wouldn't beat the Knicks. You've been high on them, so I'll give you your little victory lap here for the Miami Heat.
Listen, there is no better run organization in the Eastern Conference than the Miami Heat. None. There have been others that have won the titles. Like the Celtics have won titles. Obviously, the Bucks did most recently in the East. But in terms of the last 25, 30 years, no team can match what the Heat have done. Like some teams may have won more. I know Detroit obviously has been really good from the early 2000s, but yeah, I mean the Heat, you can't count them out. Like they have a quote from Eric Spoelstra, which they referenced for today. Drop them off in a parachute in any stadium in the NBA, and they'll go out and keep it a close game within 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That's their mentality. They've taken that underdog mentality in the 8 seed and just relished in it, and it might have been better for them because now they don't have any kind of cockiness. They have a chip on their shoulder saying, "You kind of count us out, and we're just going to go ahead and beat you to a pulp to prove that we were right, that we are better than what we are." And they did it to New York. Game 6 was close, but they're moving on to another bubble rematch, and they're playing Boston. So that'll be a fun series.
So we'll talk about the Heat in a little bit. We'll talk about these upcoming series. We want to take this time to talk about the teams going home. The Knicks going home early again. I don't know the last time this team even made like a conference final. Maybe I'm just like dumb and can't think of like a really recent time, but there's no time that crosses my mind that they've made it like any time recently.
Hmm.
Um, where does this team stand? Like, is Julius Randle, is he done with the Knicks at this point? Like, he's a great regular season performer, and then in the playoffs, you've kind of seen that he's not really up to par with where he should be. I know a lot of Knicks fans, and I take this with a grain of salt because New York sports fans on Twitter are probably the absolute worst. Them, Boston, and LA, the big three of just I can't stand
And
looking at.
Philly.
Yeah, can't stand looking at their tweets. They want Julius Randle gone. I don't think that's a great idea. I think they have the nucleus with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett. I- Where do you go from here though? Like I don't know. Like they're gonna be mired in this like 4 to 5 best team. They're not better than the Bucks, the Heat, the Celtics, or the Sixers. Like they're gonna be in unless they make a major move and go get. I mean, they can't even get Dame. They have Brunson unless they want to move Brunson to the two. But like unless they go and make this like super trade, bring in a top 10 player, this is gonna be a team that's going nowhere fast. And I don't know what they can do to fix it.
So I mean, I actually think the Knicks had a good season. You know, the fact that they made it to
Oh, they
round two,
definitely did.
like a lot of people thought they were going to make a round one and then get out of there. The fact they even made it to game six of round two is props to them. And they had they fought hard. You know, it's not like they just laid down as well. They fought hard. They've really proved that Jalen Brunson was worth the money, worth the commitment they made in the offseason. But like you said, I think now is the time to where they have a lot of assets still from the Porzingis deal. They have a lot of assets in general. They have an extra first round pick, I believe, this season from the trades they did last year with Oklahoma City. It's not their pick, but they just have another pick. Now is the time to go get a star to pair with Jalen Brunson. You know, RJ Barrett, I know you were just talking about him as being great from the 2019 draft. Is he good enough to be your number two option? No.
Yeah, no,
Is
not at all.
Julius Randle good enough? Maybe, maybe. But
And the
you
regular
can
season, yeah.
in the regular season, yeah, he got locked up by Bam. I mean, I gotta get props to Bam on the defense because he locked up Julius Randle. Go out and get a star. They could trade for Klay Thompson, and it wouldn't surprise me. You
Yeah, I
know,
think that'd be a smart move. They need the outside shooting.
they could make a package for Klay Thompson. They could make a package for another great player that's maybe a number two on another team to be their number two. But I think they have a lot of pieces and potential moving forward to where I think they do need to make that move because it's not like the East getting easier. You know,
Like,
Giannis isn't going anywhere.
do they go out and get like a Kyrie?
No, they won't get Kyrie because again, same position as Brunson. They'd be too undersized,
Yeah, but
and
you could move
you
Brunson to
are
the two.
you already saw Kyrie in New York. That's not
But
going to
imagine him
work.
going to the Knicks now.
Knicks, no,
Oh my
I don't think
god.
that's going to work. And the Knicks have money in the offseason. There's not big free agents, but the Knicks have money because Derrick Rose is team option for 18 mil. They're going to decline. So I don't know what player they could get, but I like them. I like the Knicks moving forward, being around that 4 or 5 seed. I mean, if Dallas loses the lottery tonight and doesn't end up top 10, they get that pick at number 11 or worse. But I like the Knicks. I like what they did, and we'll see what they do in the future.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are kind of just in those weird spot of they're not going to be better than 4 or 5 teams in the East unless they make one of these moves. It's the Knicks. You know, you think of the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics as like the holy trinity of NBA. So it does kind of suck to see them not be good like for a long time. So
Hmm.
I do hope they make a move, bringing in someone. They got to bring in like a top 15 kind of guy. I think to turn their franchise around. But we'll see what happens next year. Obviously, some regression from the top teams. We'll see if Jalen Brown stays with the Celtics.
That'd be a great pick.
Rumblings are out of Boston that that might not be happening. We already know Jalen
Hmm.
Brown isn't a huge fan of Boston. His comments that could be an interesting fit with Jalen Brown going to the Knicks. So we'll see moves to be made, but we do have two more series. The other one, which I thought would be a little bit better, a lot of star power. The Celtics beat the absolute shit out of Philly in Game 7 to take the series. Kind of surprised it went that far. And, you know, Philly had two chances to win the series. I thought Boston was definitely better. Philly with the MVP and Embiid, which I think was given to him just because voter fatigue and no one wants to give Jokic three in a row. And, you know, Embiid didn't really show up in the last game, and neither did James Harden. They both combined for I don't have the scoreboard
It's
up, but
20 points.
yeah, they did not have a good showing. The Celtics Tatum didn't either. I don't know what happened to that. Game 7 was just not a game for star players because no one performed well other than bench players, rotational pieces, and depth guys.
And
But
Jason Tatum. Remember, Jason Tatum scored 52 in
oh,
Game
was it?
7.
Oh, was it Game 6? It might have been Game
It
6.
was
He didn't show up.
game 6. He didn't show up. Game
That's what. Yeah,
7,
yeah,
he
yeah.
scored over 50. But
Yeah. So
I
it,
mean,
I was just gonna say it wasn't like a series where you'd see like Tatum and Embiid head to head just dropping nukes on each other. Like it was not a very. I didn't think it was a good series. I think Philly kind of choked it, but
yeah, I mean, they had a chance in Game 6 to win it at home. They're up 9 with like 4 minutes to go, and they blew it. I mean, they blew it in the fourth quarter, Game 6. You had the chance to close them out. You knew going to Boston that they weren't going to win that game unless they had a great
oh yeah, and I
performance
even
like they
I
did.
even said if Boston wins Game 6, like it's over. They're not getting embarrassed on home court again. So
Yeah, and it's that they did the embarrassing thing. I mean, Embiid and Harden really didn't work out. Um, and even the Heat fans' face was hoping Philly would win because we knew we would have a much easier time beating Philly than we would Boston, like
Yeah.
no matter what. And I mean, shout out Jason Tatum. He didn't have a great game 1 through 6, showed up when it mattered. Kind of scares me now moving forward. But like, and for Philly, I don't know what you do now. I mean, you've got Embiid. Harden's technically a free agent with a player option. He wants to come
He's
back. So
gone.
you
No, he's. Oh, they did fire Doc Rivers today, so he did say he didn't want to play for Doc Rivers, so he might stay.
Doc Rivers lost his job as a result, right? Showing that again, you can't be an established coach in this league. We'll talk about another one in a minute.
Yeah.
Um, he couldn't bring him to New York Conference Finals in 3 seasons. He's 0-7 in Game Sevens. This man is not clutch, like at all. Obviously, of course, you have the collapse when he was in Boston against the Heat, and I think they have again. They even have better pieces to go out for a superstar because they have Tyrese Maxey as well, who's a young budding star. But I think overall the bench pieces for the Sixers also let them down. I mean, I didn't hear Tobias Harris's name once during the entire time, and he's paid what the ninth most money in basketball right now.
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy.
so shout out to him securing that bag. But they're another team with a lot of expensive pieces. Thankfully Embiid and Maxey are younger. Harden's on the older side, but still younger than Curry.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do moving forward. They need some kind of new talent or some coach that's really gonna step it up. Whether it's Nick Nurse, whether it's what's it called, Monty Williams, who just got fired from Phoenix, whether it's Mike Budenholzer from Milwaukee. They just need somebody new to take the reins and hopefully get them back on track.
Yeah, there's already rumors flying around James Harden. He said that he wouldn't hate, like he'd be okay to return to Houston. Imagine if they won the draft lottery tonight, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. Imagine James Harden, Wembanyama, Jalen Green on a team like that's pretty nasty.
Yeah,
Rumors is he could come out here to the Suns, which I mean KD, James Harden, Devin Booker is a pretty solid trio.
man.
So we'll see where James Harden ends up. Does this diminish Joel Embiid's MVP? Do you think this is making people rethink if Embiid really deserved to win it?
No, because I mean the playoffs don't impact your MVP in the regular season, but I think it was just the last 10 game stretch that Embiid had where Jokic sat out a couple games, like didn't play super hot, and Embiid was on fire. Like that 46 point game he had against Boston, I think really like solidified it. Like, okay, it's his turn, especially with voting fatigue. If you would just replace Jokic's name with Anthony Davis, with LeBron, with Giannis, and they put up that stat line, they're winning the MVP over
Oh, for
Embiid.
sure.
But again, voter fatigue. Again, Jokic isn't super marketable as much as Embiid was in Philly, smaller market for the NBA as a whole. So I think Jokic deserved MVP. I think Embiid deserved MVP too, and I think it was because of voting fatigue it swayed it his way. But no, it doesn't change my view because MVP doesn't matter. Like it matters in the playoffs, but it doesn't really matter in the playoffs
Yeah.
because it's not based off how you do there.
I've been a Nikola Jokic truther from day one. I think he should have won the MVP. I do think this kind of goes to show, just based on like how the teams are doing in the playoffs, are like night and day. Jokic is rolling. That team is insanely good. We'll talk about him
Mhm.
now. Closing it out in the Valley of the Sun in Game 6. Not even close. I turned the game off when they were down like 30. I was like, this is embarrassing. Jokic and crew roll through Phoenix. Game 6. It just wasn't a close game at all. And I mean, if you really look at it, it wasn't a close series. It wasn't good. I, Damn, did you just fall off your chair?
No, it's just my phone
Oh,
call.
okay, bro. I just saw you.
No, no,
All
I'm good.
right, that was interesting. Okay, but yeah, just not really a great series at all. We saw Devin Booker try and do literally everything to help. I mean, no Chris Paul for the entire series other than like game 1. DeAndre Ayton, non-existent. Kevin Durant put up points but was not his, usual efficient self. And the Nuggets just took advantage, hit the offensive boards. Nikola Jokic is insane, man. He will just grab rebounds after rebound after rebound, and just he bullied DeAndre Ayton this series. They hit threes. Like game 6, dude, they were just shooting. It was you look up, there's a three. You look up again, another three, and just they were not missing. So shout out to the Nuggets. My pick to win the finals is still alive. What are your thoughts on the pretty embarrassing series from the Suns?
I mean, I think this series showed, along with the Philly series, that trading for a superstar doesn't guarantee you success. I mean, they traded for Kevin Durant, gave up all of their depth pieces, and they went to the finals with all these pieces, essentially. Yeah, granted, a couple changed, but and they didn't win the conference, even make it to the conference finals with Kevin Durant. I'm not saying it was a bad trade, but I mean, you have to realize that they beat you because they had better quality players than you. Yeah, your quality was higher, you were top heavy, but they were deep. The Nuggets are a deep team. The Nuggets haven't had a super big trade. Like the Aaron Gordon move didn't cost much to them, when they made it. And for the Suns, they just have to realize that they have to make a move to get better pieces because DeAndre Ayton, non existent. Chris Paul, hurt, might retire even this offseason, depending on what goes on. And they have to figure out a way to get more talent in the Valley of the Sun because if Devin Booker and Kevin Durant aren't enough to carry you to a title, you need better supporting pieces outside of them.
Yeah.
And for Denver, I mean, Jokic is just on a rampage. Like, I think it's going to be a good series against the Lakers, but I don't see this team losing.
No, not at all. I think they're gonna roll the Lakers. I think the Suns, you could really tell they missed Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and to an extent Jake Crowder, I guess, who didn't play for the Bucks either and complained about that.
Yeah.
But you could just tell the depth wasn't there. They were bringing guys like Ish Wainwright off the bench in the playoffs. Um, that's just not going to work. When your starting point guard is Cameron Payne in the playoffs, like, yeah, he had a great, what was it? He had a good bubble. I think that's when he kind of blew up was during the bubble, but
Hmm.
just not a good series. It ended up getting Monty Williams fired, which I don't know if I agree with 100%. He's coach of the year. He has the best record in the last like 2 seasons in the NBA. I don't understand firing him unless they already have something big lined up like Budenholzer. Or it's got to be something along Doc Rivers. I know Ty Lue is on their radar as well. But I don't know if I agree with the firing of Monty Williams. I know they're exploring a trade for DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. Early feedback is that the Pacers are a huge interest of both Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. Could be interesting, like a DA for Miles Turner, maybe a Chris Paul for Buddy Hield, like something along those lines are probably going to be the pieces that are thrown out there. I would love Tyrese Halliburton if they wanted to throw.
They're not throwing him
I
in any
would love
trade.
Tyrese
He,
Halliburton,
he's the future of Indianapolis. What do you mean?
but yeah,
He's not moving anywhere.
rumors are that one or both of them could be on their way out. I don't know if a full rebuild is needed. DeAndre Ayton, I do think he's a change of scenery. He just didn't cut it here in Phoenix, but just a disappointing season. And you got to feel bad for Devin Booker. This dude is like top 10 in the NBA, and just year after year, his team lets him down. There's only so much that this man can do.
And yeah, I mean, we even saw that DeAndre Ayton almost signed with Indiana. Remember, he was in the offseason rumored to go to Indiana last year. He got signed by them, and then the Suns had the right to match, and they did. So there is interest there, even with Miles Turner. But I don't know. I think overall, they're in a similar position as the Suns, or they're the Suns, similar position as the 76ers, They have some younger pieces that they want to build around, but they have that aging star that they want to compete. You trade for Kevin Durant to compete for championships in the next 3 years. You do everything you can to do that. So if it's for an older player like Damian Lillard, which I don't know how they could get him unless they throw in DeAndre into the deal and then sign some
Dude,
other
oh my
center to
God,
go with them.
Lillard, KD, and Devin Booker is deadly.
Yeah, the offense is incredible, but their
Yeah, but you
defense is
have
going to
no
suck.
defense and you still have no depth. So that's the thing is they need to get
And
it.
you have no center.
Yeah,
You have no center. Like,
they're gonna have to overwork this entire roster in the offseason to. They need depth
yeah.
pieces, but they're gonna need to get another star player if they're getting rid of DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul.
And with a new owner, you never know how it's going to work. Like James Jones is a great GM, but I don't know how the ownership feels. Rumored is that they're the ones that fired Monty Williams, not James Jones. It was very difficult for him to fire Monty Williams after all the success he's had. So we'll see what happens with the ownership of Phoenix and how they change how the team is. But I could take it that they're not too happy they lost, even with getting Kevin Durant. So we'll see what happens in the future, see what moves they make in their offseason.
Oh, we do have our conference final set. We'll go through it quick because we got a ton of other stuff to get to. But we're gonna have the Nuggets versus the Lakers in the Western Conference Final. Give me your quick prediction here. MVP of the Western Conference Final and how many games it takes.
I mean, Jokic is going to win it, unless the Lakers somehow win and it's going to be LeBron. But I'm taking the Nuggets. I'm going to take them in six. I
Oh,
like
okay.
I like the Lakers taking at least. Neither team has lost a home game. in the playoffs. Neither team. But I think the Lakers are going to be the first. I think the Lakers are going to lose game 4, and then the Nuggets will wrap it up in 6 because I think the Lakers are going to win game 5 after that. Yeah, give me Denver. I think Denver, this is the chance for them to actually go to the final, use that Denver elevation like they could it in the bubble, to have that home court advantage. And I don't see an answer for Denver in LA. I think
I,
they'll win a couple games, but not enough to win the series.
I agree with Denver. I don't know about the games. I was teetering on, is this going to be a sweep or 5? I ended up I was thinking it could be a sweep, but I'm going to go with 5. I think the Lakers get 1. They'll probably get one of their home games. Jokic is going to be too much. Anthony Davis is, one trip away from being a broken ankle. We know Anthony Davis is made of paper. I don't think he's going to be able to match up with Jokic. We'll see. I'm taking the Nuggets in 5. Give me Jokic as the MVP. And then in the East, I already know who you're predicting to win this, but we do have the Celtics playing the Heat. So give me your quick predictions there.
Listen, please don't pick Miami because when you haven't picked Miami, it's worked out so far, right? I think Miami's going to win in 6. I mean, it could easily go
Six.
7. It could easily go 7, but I think the Heat are going to follow the same strategy they've done the last 2 games. I think winning game 1 is so important for them, getting that home court advantage, and they've proven that they have really good home field advantage. They have really good home field advantage. They have been in this situation before, and I think overall they're going to take it in 6. Give me Jimmy Butler's Finals MVP.
All right. I'm not taking. I will not be taking the Miami Heat. I'm gonna take the Celtics. I'm gonna take them in 6. I just think Miami's been underdogs for both of their series so far. The
Mhm.
odds that they win another one being underdogs are it's pretty out there to have them win 3 to beat the 3 best teams. Not the I mean the Knicks weren't the best, but beat 3 top East teams. It's not like they've had an easy run. I think it's going to catch up to them at some point. I think it's in this series against the Celtics. Jason Tatum, is anyone going to stop him? I don't know. Probably not. It's Jason Tatum. And he had a really bad series. Last one, is he going to have back to back bad series? I don't think so. Give me the Boston Celtics in 6.
Listen, I might end up trying to find my way to get to a home game,
Oh, dude, pay
but
those
we'll see.
prices. There you go.
It's $180 for a ticket. So,
Honestly, that's not terrible. That was like what the tickets were for our round 2 out here. So I mean, $180 to get into the conference finals doesn't seem outrageous.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, I just think Miami's going to do it. I think they have the pieces. Of course, Tyler Hero being healthy would be huge, but they're the best coached team. Like they have a first year coach in LA. They have a first year coach in Boston. I think the most experienced coaches are going to win. They've been in this situation before. Maybe not Mike Malone. Mike Malone in Denver.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. But obviously Spell's been there for forever. I think he gets it done. I like him in the series.
I'm rooting for you. I don't like Boston. I think they'll win, but I hope Miami does win. I just don't think they will. A Nuggets versus Heat finals, I feel like would be kind of underwhelming to the general public. I'm here
It'd be
for
good
it.
basketball.
It
It'd be
would,
good
it would,
basketball.
but I think to the general public, they're gonna want LA versus Boston. Obviously, who wouldn't, want that? But
Yeah, of course.
that's what every casual is gonna want. Oh my god, dude, LeBron Twitter's gonna blow up if they win this series. I'm
Hmm.
getting off Twitter if it's LA versus Boston, but I hope the Heat win. We'll see. We do have an NBA event happening tonight for teams like me who are really bad. Uh, you have the playoffs to look forward to. My Detroit Pistons have the draft lottery to look forward to tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern for the chance to draft the generational talent Victor Wembanyama out of France, who is touted as the biggest prospect since LeBron. We'll see. I'm excited. Hold on, I'm about to cough. So
I mean, the Spurs, Pistons, and Rockets have the best odds at landing him at 14%. Obviously, Scoot Henderson is there at number 2 for anyone who needs a also amazing guard. But who do you think gets him, and who do you want to see get Victor Wembanyama?
I mean, you already know my answer to this. Is I obviously want the Detroit Pistons to get the number 1 lottery pick. Victor Wembanyama with Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. They're gonna have 4 centers on this team next year if they draft Wembanyama. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming they'll trade probably Isaiah Stewart and Marvin Bagley. One of those two's probably gone if we
Yeah.
win it. But like that's that takes us from a healthy Cade and a good year from Wembanyama go from the lottery to like maybe a play-in team, maybe in a
Hmm.
little higher than that. The team I think deserves it the most, it's got to be the Spurs. If he goes to the Spurs, if he doesn't go to us, I want him to go to the Spurs. They've been kind of really bad lately, but like such a good franchise. Everyone loves Greg Popovich. You know, they've really caused like no issues. Tony Parker's a legend. Tim Duncan, legend. Manu, legend. Like that team has been, it was good, and then just like Detroit's been the last 5 years or so, really bad. And they haven't like actively tanked either, like other teams have been doing. So I do think that they deserve a good lottery fall. I swear to God, if he goes to Houston, I'm going to like kill myself.
Yeah,
I do not want to see him go to Houston. I don't want to see him go to Charlotte either. I think if he goes to
yeah,
Charlotte,
Charlotte.
that is not a market that he needs to go to. He needs to
That's
go
an
to one.
L. Yeah.
That's a huge L. Like, yeah, it works with LaMelo, I guess, but like you want to market this dude, so he needs to go to a Spurs, a Pistons, like a team that has like won championships and is like generationally been good. He needs to go to that, like a kind of team like that that they can market.
So I'll be rooting for Detroit to get him, so you can be happy. I
Yes,
will.
sir.
In terms of who I think I would want to see him on, I think the Pistons deserve it. I'd like to see him on the Trailblazers. Put him and
That would
Dame
be
together.
interesting.
They've got the fifth or sixth best odds right now. I think it's six. Put him and Dame on the same team. Like that immediately elevates Portland, like future, their current status. If they get
People are gonna want to come.
Wembanyama, they're not going to trade Dame at that
No,
point.
people
They're
will
not.
want to come.
Yeah. I think who I don't want him to go to, I don't want him to go to Houston. You know, I don't want him to go to Charlotte, like you said. Also, I don't want him to go to Dallas. Dallas has the shot to get him. They
Oh
have
my
10th
God, they
best
do.
odds. I mean, because they're in the lottery, right? They have 10
Yeah.
best odds. I don't want him to go to Dallas. Please don't. I think any other team I'll be okay with. Like, I'd rather him not go to the East in general, just because the Heat are in there. But if he's going to, let him be in the Pistons. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think the overall reaction, the jersey edits already for
Oh yeah.
whatever team
Oh,
he gets drafted on.
they're already in the drafts
They
getting
they've
weighted.
been cooking.
They're
Yeah,
waiting.
I'm sure whoever is there representing the teams has a custom made Wembanyama jersey that they're going to hold
Oh,
up,
for sure.
like you know. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it at 8, or probably by the time it starts, it'll be like 8:30 because they pull some random long-winded approach to having the
Yeah.
lottery results come
I'm
out.
hoping it is a little delayed because I don't know if I'll be able to watch it right away, but I'm hoping like 5:15 my time it comes. That's when it
Don't
starts.
don't check Twitter because
Oh, I will. I will
you
not.
know that Woj is going to be on it. Shams is going to be on it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want no Woj bombs tonight,
Yeah,
unless it's a Woj bomb for us getting the number one pick. But
yeah.
I think that's it for basketball. I guess next episode we'll have the draft order set for at least the lottery teams. We'll have a couple of. I think the games start this tomorrow.
Wednesday. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wednesday. Wednesday is Heat Celtics, and I think Thursday is Nuggets Lakers.
so we'll probably have a couple of games worth of news to come next week with the draft lottery. Maybe some Ja Morant news. Who knows if that investigation will be up? But I think that's it for basketball, unless you have anything.
No, unless there's any trades, that happen after the result of
Yeah.
the draft, because that could happen. But
Um.
actually, no, they can't. I think it has to wait until after the NBA Finals are done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
not too sure of the rules, but we will move on quickly to baseball. We do have some not a ton of action, but we do have a couple controversies in baseball. So just a little bit of news: the Cardinals have finally figured it out. Finally, they've won 4 in a row. Nolan Arenado's hit 4 home runs in the last 6 games. They're still like 8 games behind, under 500. But in a
Hmm.
division that's kind of with the Brewers, and the Brewers like 2-8 in their last 10 prior. I don't know what they're at now. They're like 4-6. The Pirates are struggling. The Cubs are struggling, and I don't know. Is it fair to say that the Cardinals still have a shot to win the division? I don't know,
I
but
mean, it's so
they're only
early.
they're only 3 games out of a wild card spot, which is crazy because they were like 10 games under 500. Um,
Hmm.
so shout out to the Cardinals for figuring it out finally. I don't know if you saw this in Minnesota. Joey Gallo officially broke Statcast.
He did. He hit a home
We
run that they couldn't track. They
we
couldn't
still have
track
no
the
idea.
distance. No, they finally came up with it.
Did
It
they?
was up. It was a bomb that seemed to like break the sound barrier essentially, and like it was so hit so far into right field. 512.
Oh my god.
512, 512 feet. Statcast didn't come up with it originally when it got hit off the bat, but like an hour later, 2 hours later, they
Oh
had it
my
ready.
god. I didn't
512.
I've been looking and I haven't been able to find it. I was like, oh, it actually broke StatCast. There was like people doing math in the comments. They're like, well, based on this look, the consensus was like it was 480. I was like, okay, I don't know why that would have broken StatCast, but if it was 512,
512.
that's insane.
In
So
Minnesota, too, in that
yeah,
big
in
right
the
field
yeah,
boxes that they have.
yeah. So shout out to Joey Gallo having a kind of renaissance year in Minnesota after having a terrible year in New York last year. Good for him to hit a 512-foot bomb. That's insane.
Yes,
Speaking of the New York Yankees, is Aaron Judge a cheater? I don't know if you saw this last night,
I
but
did.
the
I did.
Toronto Blue Jays broadcast brought it to everyone's attention that he was looking at the dugout prior to the pitch being thrown. They got it on video a few times, and it brings to the question, what was he looking at in the dugout? He hit a home run right after he did it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a nothing burger, but like the fact he hit a home run after looking in the dugout like during the windup is like, okay, wait a second. People are gonna think there's actually something to this.
Yeah. I mean, he said it post game, and I tend to believe him, especially happened with Houston and against them. That his teammates were chirping, talking like dirt against the Blue Jays when I think they were down 6-0 at that point.
Yeah, the Yankees were up 6-0, just talking
They
shit.
were up. They were up 6-0. So, and he didn't like it because he was saying, "Why are you talking so much and gloating?" And I think he hit a home run because he was pissed. I think he just hit a home run because he was pissed at his teammates. Again, Toronto broadcast team. Again, they're the away side, so
Yeah,
they'll bring it
and
up
they
because they're
they
salty
didn't
they're losing.
they didn't accuse him. They just brought it to everyone's attention, like, hey, he's looking into the dugout. They said they don't want to
Yeah,
come to any conclusions, but it is a question. I mean, he did look in the dugout multiple times during the pitch, so I
yeah,
mean, I don't
they
think he'll
could
do it.
be.
I don't think he'll do it again. If he's not cheating, he won't do it again. I think he'll. If he does, it'll cause more questions. So we'll see if it's something because I don't think it's ever happened before. This is the first time it's been caught. So I mean,
Yeah,
if he doesn't do it again, it's a nothing burger. He hasn't done it in the past, so I
and
think
it's Aaron Judge. He just won MVP. He
he hit
mashes home runs for
62
breakfast.
home runs.
I
Like
don't think he needs to cheat. But I mean, we said the
no,
same about Barry Bonds, so you never know. But I
yeah,
don't think he needs to cheat to destroy a ball that far.
no. But I did think it was ironic that literally the second he looked over, he hit a fucking 460 bomb to straightaway center field. Which
Hmm.
is why I think everyone's questioning it. If he had struck out, they would have been like, oh, okay, who cares? But it's the fact that he demolished the ball to center field right after.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, we'll keep an eye on it. I don't think he'll do it again. But we had another kind of not controversy, but a question that's been asked is not after, but during the Padres game finale, I think on Sunday against the Dodgers, the camera panned to I think it was Bogarts, Soto, and Tatis, all laughing and smiling in the dugout while they were down 4-0, and in the eventual sweep to the Dodgers. What do you make of that? This team that has spent the most money to put together the super team, they've underperformed really badly. I think they're 4 games under 500, and they're laughing and smiling in the dugout. To me, I don't care, but there was a lot of talk on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, like there always going to be about something like that. And there's even a article that I think ESPN put out about how even though the Padres made it to the NLCS and finally got over the Dodgers, how they are really bad against the Dodgers in the regular season
Yeah,
the
they're
last
not
four
good.
years. I mean, they can't get over them. I mean, there was, of course, that terrible Slam Diego song that got released 3 years ago when the Padres thought they were going to be better than the Dodgers. And besides the one playoff series they got over them, they really haven't shown it. It's a bad look for San Diego. I think if anything, they were just more relaxed and talk about something funny. It's not fun to laugh. There's a famous scene in Moneyball of how you should react when you're losing, and when you lose, it should be an empty, quiet locker room trying to figure out how to get better, not partying like you just won the World Series. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but it's not my team, so they could have just been react to something that just happened in the game.
Yeah.
These are people too. I think this need to be better. Just play better. That's all you got to
And
ask.
it's a 162 game season. If this was like an NFL team that's, it's week 10 and you're, I don't know, 4-6, which I guess would kind
Hmm.
of be comparable to where we're at here, I'd have a problem with it. You only got like 7 games to figure it out. I mean, they're 4 games under 500. the Dodgers are going to win the NL West unless there's a surprise run from the Diamondbacks, who have looked amazing this year, leading the
Hmm.
wild card by like 4 games. The Dodgers are not going to win the division. They'll probably get into a wild card. Looking how weak it is, last year a team in I think it was like 87 wins got in to the wild card. The Padres could definitely finish right around 500. I don't think a playoff berth is like at the forefront right now. They're not questioning it. I think they'll be fine. I think people are overreacting a little bit. This is still on paper one of the most talented teams in the MLB. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, and like you said, San Diego's too good to not make the playoffs. I mean, unless they have an absolute shocker of a season,
Just an
but they'll be
absolute
fine.
meltdown. Um, do want to point out, so I know we are not Oakland A's fans. We don't watch games. I got to experience my first Oakland A's game on TV last night as the Diamondbacks took on the Oakland A's in Oakland. Um, Holy shit. That is an awful TV experience. Like, I can't imagine how bad it's at the stadium, but like you could hear the announcer like up to bat, so and so. Like, you should never really hear that on TV. Like, it was
Hmm.
crisp. They ended up coming out and saying, I don't, was it Bob Nightingale? Is that the dude's name? The Twitter reporter?
Yes.
He announced that the official attendance was just around 2,000 people. Um, that is bad. They did get their Vegas plot of land finalized, and I don't think they're allowed to back out at this point.
Yep.
So they are going to be moving to Vegas, but I just wanted to bring up the fact that that is a terrible experience to watch on TV, let alone go to the game, because like you can just hear everything. It's awful. It's quiet. I hate it. I can't wait till they leave.
Yeah, I think it's a direct response to the news that broke yesterday that they got approved to move into the current Tropicana Hotel site, which is actually the hotel right next to the airport. Like it actually connects to the airport
Oh,
on the strip. So when you leave LA, the Las Vegas airport, and you pull around, you have MGM Grand on your right towards the rest of the strip. On your left is the Tropicana, the Luxor Hotel, and on the other side of the highway, the Luxor Hotel is the Raider Stadium. So it's going to be a very
prime
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 spot
location. Yeah.
for a baseball stadium. The wind's going to be crazy because it's right next to an airport. Like it's going to be partially covered, kind of like the Chase Field is for Arizona. So I think that was just a direct response to that news breaking yesterday. That all the A's fans decided, yeah, we're not going to go.
Yeah,
We're going to go protest.
I don't blame them either. But I just wanted to
Yeah,
bring up how embarrassing of a viewing situation it is, let alone going to the game.
yeah. And we did have news that broke actually 20 minutes ago about my team, the Miami Marlins. I want to bring up to where Jazz Chisholm Jr. collided with a fence 2 days ago in center field, trying to make a play on the ball, just missed it. Diagnosed with turf toe. He said he'd be back right away. He went to go see a specialist today. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And
Dang.
this is a guy who was not hitting great. He was hitting like 220, 230 on the year, but second in the National League in stolen bases, third on the team in home runs, beside of or second actually behind Jorge Soler. So tough loss for the Marlins, who are actually the second best team in the National League East right now. They're better than the Phillies, better than the Mets. So a tough blow for them to miss Jazz. They've had some injury issues in the rotation. They've missed some positional players who are just getting back. So we'll see what Miami can do to surprisingly keep up with the Braves in the NL East.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's tied for the wild card, the third wild card spot right now. I think they might
Hmm.
be like half a game back, but you got to think: is this move to center field the best thing for Jazz? We saw earlier in the season against the Diamondbacks, their first series, Jazz got injured on kind of the same play, colliding into the center field wall with his foot, and he was taken out of the game. Now you have him; he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So I mean, in the span of a month, he's been injured twice, trying to make a play in center field. Obviously, they could both just be freak accidents and coincidences, but I mean, you got to look at it like this is not a guy that's played a lot of center field. He's still new to the position. Like, are you risking injury keeping him there? Do you think Miami, when he gets back, eases him back in, maybe play in the infield a little bit just to get his bearings? Like, do you even think about moving him out of center field?
No, because I mean he has made great strides in center field defensively, like since he started the season. Like he's actually been average or slightly above average compared to metrics in center fielders. So I think they're going to keep him there, but I mean they don't have much options for the outfield. Like they have Victor Mesa Jr., who remember he was the big international signing they made a couple years ago from Cuba, who has been really good, and they're not afraid to promote people from Double A straight to the big because they promoted Yuri Perez to start on Friday against the Reds. I don't know what the options are. There's not many internal to play center. That's the whole reason why they moved Jazz to center field because the center field options of the team are little. But we'll see what happens in the future. I hope him success, and I hope he comes back healthy and ready to play after the All Star game. Well, it'll be just around the All Star game he comes back.
So I don't think we have anything else for baseball. I think that wraps it. It was a pretty like we only had a 4 or 5 day turnaround. And the same with football. We'll talk about a little bit right now. We did say we probably missed something big in last week's episode. We couldn't think of what it was. Literally 10 minutes after the episode ended, we said, "Wow, we forgot to talk about Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He signed his extension, or I'll be honest, I don't even know what it is. I didn't look. All I saw was that they re-signed him. I didn't look into it. I've been busy. Um, but Lamar,
It's the biggest contract in NFL, at least in terms of guaranteed money. I mean, it's $185 million for 5 years guaranteed. So pretty big commitment from Baltimore.
so Lamar Jackson is back in Baltimore. He's got OBJ. Uh, I don't did that that contract came out right? Didn't we talked about
Odell,
OBJ?
yes. Yeah, we talked
Yeah,
about
okay.
Odell signing.
So OBJ, Rashad Bateman coming back from injury. It kind of sucks that they traded Hollywood Brown because it's like this is the year you'd want to have him. Like you would be explosive on offense with that, but they got rid of him. Mark Andrews is still there. So shout out Lamar Jackson getting his bag, which was well deserved, especially for a running back. That's crazy.
Biggest guaranteed money for a running
Yeah,
back in NFL history. I mean, they also drafted Zay Flowers in the first
they
round
did. They
out
did.
of Boston College. So I like the move. I mean, Baltimore had to do this, right? They had to keep him, but they've done well. They have a new offensive coordinator who is not stuck in the Stone Age. I don't think they're going to run the ball much with Lamar now. Like they were literally just doing committed run plays with Lamar. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to run the ball more with J.K. Dobbins, more of Hill, the backup, and I think they're going to have more of a pass happy offense finally. Because, Lamar said he wants to throw for 5,000. He wants to throw for 6,000 yards. And if they let him, I mean, I'm taking him in fantasy, at least this season.
I think he'll have a great year. So happy for him. Happy this whole situation's resolved. I think that kind of ends like the whole off season. Where's everyone going? Rumor mill. It seems like now we have Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson done. I don't think unless barring a trade in the middle of the off season, which I don't expect to
We'll see.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like everyone is set. We're not gonna have any more movement, barring something crazy. So, um, it's glad that I'm glad we don't have any more waiting 6 months to figure out what's gonna happen. We're done. Um,
Yep.
we also got the schedule release. It was a couple hours after we recorded last week. We were right. The Packers got 5 primetime games, which was a joke. Is there anything big that happened that you want to talk about? I don't think there is. We kind of covered everything that we talked about was right. So
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots and Bears have 4 primetime games, which is more than the Miami Dolphins do.
yeah,
That to me is crazy. Like, I know they're
that's
playing good
crazy.
teams, but they have more primetime games. I mean, the Chiefs and Eagles are on there, rightfully so. This is the Super Bowl. The Jets, we said we're going to be on there a lot. They got Aaron Rodgers, the NFL schedule, Baker's made it. So I think one of the craziest things that happened, which I know you're going to get to earlier, I'm going to bring it up now, is Peacock, the streaming service that NBC has, actually got the rights to the Chargers Bills Christmas Eve at regular season game, which is going to be a great matchup that late in the season. And they paid $130 million for the right to exclusively stream a playoff game in the wild card. They don't know what's AFC or NFC, but it's only on Peacock. You can watch the game. Stream East is going to be buzzing that day.
Oh my god,
But
dude! I will be on Stream East.
I mean, I have Peacock, so I can watch it, and I will watch it. But I mean, it's crazy that the NFL made this move and made this precedent. And there, I saw a tweet which is 100% sad and true, where if you want to watch every game in the NFL that's on prime time, you need ESPN, ESPN Plus, ABC, Fox, CBS, NBC, Peacock, and NFL Network, and finally, um, not Red Zone, the other one, NFL Sunday Ticket to watch the game. You need
You're forgetting
nine
another one. Amazon.
Amazon for the Thursday night and Black
Yeah,
Friday games.
yeah.
You need 10 streaming services. The whole point of freaking streaming services was to get rid of the thing for cable so we can have
Yep.
everything in one place. Now, everyone wants cable back because it's so many
Yep,
streaming
it's
services you gotta have.
ridiculous.
If you want to watch the games in London, you gotta have ESPN Plus for the Jaguars game that's in London. One of them is exclusive to ESPN Plus. The other two are on NFL Network. The Chiefs and Dolphins in Germany, and the other one game in Germany is also on NFL Network. Like ABC has game coverage this time. ESPN obviously has Monday Night Football. NBC Sunday night. Amazon Thursday. Like, just figure it out. Make it easy. Come on. Like,
Yeah,
we all
it's
got
bad.
like at this point, you may as well pay for Sunday ticket because at least you're guaranteed all the games that are out of market, but then you miss the in-market games.
Or you just sail the high seas and do a little bit of pirating, but
Yep,
that's
Pirate Bay.
it's bad. I don't know the Nickelodeon thing. I was fine with, like, if you want bring it to the kids, whatever. It's not exclusive to Nickelodeon. You can watch it in other places. The fact that there is a NFL playoff game that is going to be pay-per-view on Peacock is ridiculous. There's going to be quite a few Peacock free week trials that are
Oh yeah.
subscribed into that week. I think it's a terrible look for the NFL that one of your playoff games is pay-per-view. I'm fine with it during the season, whatever. It's a regular season game. You can find a way to watch it if you want to. But for it being a playoff game, it's kind of a joke.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna move on into our next topic with the schedule change, but go ahead with whatever you have regarding
No, no, I was
on
gonna
Peacock.
say about if you watched any of the schedule releases and the videos that the teams made, because obviously we just talked about the schedule and all the streaming services they're on, and the teams got pretty creative. I mean, I'm sure you saw some, but
Oh yeah, I mean, I only saw 4 or 5. There was a lot of bad ones that I just all they did was release it on a quick little short video.
mhm.
There was a couple that stood out. The Titans was hilarious. Getting the people on the strip in Nashville to name teams was hilarious. Someone called the Colts the Cowboys. The Colts took to their Twitter and changed their name to not the Cowboys. So it was good to see that. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about. The Chargers I thought was great with their anime schedule release. Off the bat, Mike McDaniel ripping a vape with
Yep,
Tuanon on the screens in the background.
yep.
I thought was hilarious. They roasted. Let's see. They roasted the Lion. The Lions was a good one.
Yeah,
They
about the
just ended up
gambling.
they just posted a picture of, like, if you need help gambling, call so, like, those kind of ads. That was pretty good. Um, the New York one was good, but yeah, just in general, the Chargers knocked it out of the park with their release video. Um, I thought it was good. I think teams are starting to, like, kind of get into it a little bit more. We saw the Lions they did the AI voices of Dan Campbell and Holmes, the
Hmm.
GM. That was a good one. The Dolphins had. I thought the Dolphins was pretty shit. I won't lie. It was
The
pretty.
movie one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty bad. But, like, you're seeing these teams kind of, instead of just posting on their Twitter, kind of making at least a little video edit of it. I think it's
Hmm.
good. Grow the game.
Yeah, the Titans one literally made me laugh out loud, like so
Oh,
much
it was
because
hilarious.
when they were saying, "Oh, it's the Cowboys," I know that one, the
Yeah, I know.
Cowboys,
Oh,
and
I
it
know that.
just
It's the Cowboys.
shows the horseshoe for the
Yeah.
Colts. So funny, and then the Red Stallions with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, there were a lot of good ones, but I think the Titans is the best. I like the Chargers one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it because the schedule gets leaked all the time. Like we literally discussed it while it was happening
Yeah, we knew the
last episode.
schedule.
Yeah, we knew part of it, but to make it such a fun event, like instead of the NFL coming out with a giant schedule release, they should just let the teams do it individually.
Oh
Because
yeah.
that was fun to watch each team do it. Like I literally want to rewatch the Titans one now because I know it's gonna make me laugh.
That's great.
So they did a
Um,
great job.
but schedule is released. We know who we're playing. We're still deciding which away game we want to go to this year. We have a couple of options. I told Alex to come back to LA. Um, but
You're the one that hated LA
I
last
don't
time we
want to
were
go
there
back, but it's like, shit. Is it my only
in
option to go
week
to an
one.
away game? Probably. Can't talk the gang into going to Germany, I don't think. So,
No, I
well,
wish we were playing Vegas in
yeah,
Vegas.
that would have been a good
That
one.
would have been amazing, but they're playing it in Miami. So I'll be seeing the Raiders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think after the schedule's done, we know who everyone's playing. Like you said, in terms of player movement, we kind of have a good sense of who's going to be at what teams. So now we can finally rank the teams after the draft, the schedule releases, major moves. So I want you to break it down first. Give me your top 10 for post draft power rankings for next season.
All right. Well, number one, I think this is the consensus pick. Everyone has these guys at number one going into next year. It's the Detroit Lions. No, number
They're
one,
playing an opening night, though.
they
We didn't
are.
mention that.
They
They're playing
are.
an opening night.
We did. We talked about it last episode, but
Oh, okay, okay.
um, my number one team is the defending champs from last year, the Kansas City Chiefs. Number two, I have the team they played in the Super Bowl with the Eagles. I think they're going to have a good year. The NFC is going to have a really down year, I think. There's only probably three teams there that I think could even make the Super Bowl. Um, they're all three in my top 10. The Bills, I think the Bills are going to have an underwhelming year, to say the least, um, with Aaron Rodgers coming into the fold. That Jets game it's not two free wins anymore.
Hmm.
I think the whole AFC East will suffer. I still think going into the season they should still be the number three team. Wouldn't be surprised if they slipped. They'll still be a top 10 team, but this is the AFC East might be a team. It might be a division where every team might be within like a game of each other just because of how competitive it'll be.
Hmm.
Number four, I have the Bengals. Sneaky, quiet. Just nobody really talks about them right now. They do have financial issues. Are they going to keep Joe Mixon? Is he going to play this year? Will he get cut? Jury's still out. I think this is going to have to be the year they make their run because next year they're going to have a lot of decisions to make regarding personnel. I got the Bengals there at 4. 5, I have the Miami Dolphins. Picking up Jalen Ramsey is going to turn this into a top 10 defense. We saw last year with Tua healthy, a top 10 offense. They're going to be top 10 on both sides of the ball, which is good to have. Um, Not the easiest schedule. I think they have actually the second hardest schedule in the
They
league.
do. They do.
So we'll see. I believe in Tua. If he's healthy, it's a top three offense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I do like the pickup of Devin Achane. Tua, great. Defense, a new year. Another year with Bradley Chubb. Jalen Ramsey's going to turn the defense around. I got the Dolphins at 5. 6, I kind of went off the board a little bit here. I took the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am a big believer in the Jags this year. Trevor Lawrence in year two, not year two, but year two out of the regime of
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. I think he's going to take another great step. Calvin Ridley coming in, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a really good team. I think the Jags at 6 it might be a reach right now. I think I think it's a solid spot for him. 7, I have the Ravens. Lamar Jackson. We finally got the word that he's staying. It's an elite offense. It's always going to be a really solid defense. It's a pretty shit division. It's kind of up for anybody at this point. The Steelers, Kenny Pickett, I don't think is him. Cleveland is Cleveland. Are they ever going to be good? And then I mean the Bengals, I think are the best team there, but we'll see if the Ravens can catch them. Number 8, the Niners, which might be a little low for some people. I question the quarterback, the issues. Quarterback, we don't know if Brock Purdy's coming back. Trey Lance, I don't know if Trey Lance is him yet. We'll see who they end up. Have they announced who they're rolling out like who they think they're gonna have week one? I mean,
Yeah, they think it's going to be Trey Lance. Or sorry, no, it's not going to be Trey Lance. They think it's going to be Brock Purdy, week one, based off his injury that he got in the playoffs and coming back. But they're going to have Sam Darnold and Trey Lance split first team reps until he's back. It's an interesting issue to have, but with Shanahan as the coach, I think they're going to figure it out. Like they did it with Jimmy G all those years. So
I think they'll be fine. I'm bumping them down a little bit just because of the questions of quarterback. Obviously, Purdy could come in and be fine, and they'll move back up. Number 9, I have the Detroit Lions. I'm buying into the hype. I think 85% of fans are buying into the Lions hype. I think everyone's just excited to see a good year from them. Um, Jameer Gibbs, the more I think about it, the happier I am with the pick. And I'll talk about it in a minute because we have our award predictions. They do have a really easy schedule. I think their team's combined record is like under 500 from last year. So they have a pretty solid schedule. The end of their schedule sucks, but if they can get through their first, 6 weeks with a 4-2 record, they're looking good. And then number 10, I have the Chargers. Again, another kind of quiet, good team in the AFC. Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Mike Williams, like that offense. Austin Eckler, that offense is going to be elite. The defense is where the question is. We'll see. I hate Chargers fans. You guys suck. Just want for that guy. You got to let them know that they suck. Got to knock them down a peg. But
we saw them all. That's why we know they
yeah,
suck.
I did have one pretty glaring omission. It was the Cowboys. I do not
Hmm.
think the Cowboys are a top 10 team. No Zeke. I I think Dak Prescott's one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. They'd probably be in like the 15 range for me. So that was like the one glaring omission is the Cowboys, who is like a consensus top like 7 team right now for some reason. Don't know
Hmm.
why. They're like top 15.
Well, mine's a little different, and I'll go through it because at least the beginning couple are at least the same. I did change some since you saw, uh, so I did change some of the rankings. So I think Chiefs and Eagles 1, 2. That could be easily flipped for me. I think the Eagles are very arguably the better team because they've had a better offseason than the Chiefs, but I do like the moves they made, so I like 1, 2. I like the Bengals at 3. I think they did enough to revamp their offensive line to where Cincinnati is worth being the third best team in football. I got the Dolphins at 4. I think the Dolphins are the best team in the AFC East. I mean, Buffalo has not done much in the offseason outside of Dalton Kincaid in the draft, whereas the Dolphins have made better moves. Jalen Ramsey, Vic Fangio coming in as defensive coordinator. It wouldn't surprise me if the Dolphins and Bills finish with the exact same record, and the Dolphins just winning off of conference records or based off of like head to head, you know? So they're like if they both finish 12-5, like it wouldn't surprise me. I like the Ravens at 6. Again, like we just said, Lamar Jackson coming back, all the offseason moves they made. The division is tough. You know, the Steelers are a good team. The Browns aren't a slouch either. But I think the Ravens overall talent wise, they have the defensive pieces. You know, they got Roquan Smith last year. Lamar's gonna have, I think, a very good season. I like the Ravens. I like Detroit at 7. I might be higher than you are, but
Yeah, higher
I
than I
think
am. Wow.
I think Detroit is the second or third best team in the NFC. I mean, they're a great team, well coached. They've only gotten better this offseason. You know, they didn't get worse, and they barely missed out on the playoffs. I think Detroit has a chance to really make some noise and get that home field advantage in round one of the playoffs. I like the Niners at 8. Again, quarterback situation, just like you. I don't know where they're going to end up, but all the pieces. I mean, on offense, besides quarterback, the coaching, the defense, it's still the same. So this is a team that just missed out on the NFC Championship game, and they made it, but they obviously lost to the Eagles. So I think you can't knock them out. At 9, I've got the Jets, and again, Aaron Rodgers coming into the fold. The Jets have a solid base. Overhyped, I think, right now by the media, but I think they're going to be a great team. The AFC is going to have 3 10-win teams, and the Jets are going to be one of them, probably at 10-7, maybe 11-6. And at 10, I've got Dallas. I mean, I don't know about the Chargers enough to warrant them. Same with Jacksonville, warrant them being top 10. But I think Dallas got better just by subtraction. They got rid of Ezekiel Elliott, and he was the main reason they were losing games last year. I mean, Tony Pollard came back from injury, I know, but just having him, having Brandon Cooks on offense, you know, you had Mike McCarthy now take over coaching duties and offensive play call. You saw how well Aaron Rodgers was. He won MVP the last couple of years that McCarthy was doing that. So that's my top 10. I mean, again, for me, the slight omissions are the Jags and Chargers, but I like it. I mean, there could be a team that surprises, but I'll go on record saying I think the Dolphins are going to end up with the same record or slightly better than the Bills.
Yeah. And power rankings before week one never mean anything. Week one happens
Yeah.
and all these teams could be out of the top 10. Who knows? Um, but that is the power rankings. We'll probably have one more going into the season, unless
Hmm.
there's nothing that changes. Um, Probably have one more power rankings going into week one. But we do have, now that the draft is over, everything is done, finalized, we do have some award predictions. We'll go through them quick because we're kind of running a little long. But my MVP, I'm taking Joey B, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm big on the Bengals this year. They're sneaky, they're quiet. They're kind of like that fourth best team in the league that no one's talking about. I think Joe Burrow has a coming out party with Jamar Chase. They're going to go crazy. I think Jamar Chase doesn't win not offensive rookie, but offensive player of the year. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's going to go to Austin Eckler. The Chargers I think that offense is going to be a top five offense in the league, led by Austin Eckler in the backfield. He catches balls, he runs, he's great. He's going to go number one overall in a lot of fantasy football drafts. Me, Austin Eckler is the offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year, going off the board a little bit. Sauce Gardner, I think, is going to have a great year. Plays in a tough division, but he also plays in a division that throws the ball a lot. Josh Allen slings it. Tua with that offense is going to sling it. The Patriots suck, but they'll probably throw the ball a lot because they're going to be
Yep.
down. I think Sauce is going to have a good year stat wise. I don't know. I wanted to go off the board with a pick. I think he's going to be good. I think he's probably a top like 3 defensive player already in the league. My offensive rookie of the year, I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. I know Bijan, quarterbacks. Jahmyr Gibbs is in a great situation in Detroit where he's replacing a guy that just rushed for 17 touchdowns. If he can replicate that, he's winning offensive rookie of the year easy. It's a good situation with David Montgomery. He doesn't have to be the every down guy. He can do what the team needs him to do: pick up first downs, pick up touchdowns. I think it's going to correlate to really good looking stats. He's going to win offensive rookie of the year. I also think the quarterbacks are going to have a rough time because obviously the teams they play for are shit. Defensive rookie of the year, I think it's a consensus. Will Anderson is going to be the early favorite, the early pick. Taking Will Anderson out of Houston. And then coach of the year, I got to take Dan Campbell. The hype for Detroit is real. He's going to go from taking a team, cellar dwellers, bags over your head at the game, to a team that could possibly make an NFC championship game. Taking DC as my coach of the year.
I mean, I like your picks, like especially DC. Like coach of the year for Dan Campbell. He should have won last year. We know this, right?
Yeah.
But I think Gibbs is going to have the opportunity in Detroit because you don't get drafted that high if you're not going to get at least 70% of the touches, right, at the running back position. Sauce, a defensive, it's just hard to win it as a defensive back.
It is. It
Like
is.
you got to be really good to win as
But
a
look at the
DB.
year. Look at the year he had last year. Like he had a great year last year. So if he improves
Yeah.
on that, like I could see it.
For my awards, I'm taking Jalen Hurts at MVP. I think they only got better. The Eagles did. I think he replicates a lot of success he had last year. RVP candidate till the end against Mahomes. I think he wins it this time. Offensive player of the year, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. I mean, again, the only thing that limits him is how much they spread the ball to everybody else. But he still was amazing when in San Francisco. Now he gets a full off season. He gets consistency behind the offensive line, learning where the actual blocking schemes are. C-Mac's going to put up numbers. Yeah, he's going to put up numbers. TJ Watt for my defensive player of the year. Arguably could have won it last year and is a contender every season. I think the Steelers are going to be better this year, so they have more primetime games, which they do. Him and Minka Fitzpatrick are great on defense. I like TJ Watt. Offensive rookie of the year is so hard to win if you're not a quarterback, which is why I'm taking Bryce Young. I mean, number 1 overall pick. He's got decent options in Carolina, so I like him. With Miles Sanders, he's obviously got Adam Thielen. So I like him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. If he gets 5 wins, I think he wins it. Like, unless he just absolutely is not the reason to win a game, I think just by default, if he gets 5 or 6 wins. Unless Gibbs, like you said, has 1,000 yards and has more than 8 touchdowns. But
Yeah,
I,
which
I
is
think Bryce,
entirely possible in Detroit with that offense.
it is, but it's just so hard to beat a quarterback, It's just like MVP.
Yeah.
And for Defense Rookie of the Year, I agree with Will Anderson out of Houston. The guy's going to be a beast. Coach of the Year, I'm taking Mike McDaniel. I mean, second year, I think him and Vic Fangio, they're going to have a good season. I think if Tua stays healthy, the Dolphins are not only going to win games, but against the worst competition, they're going to blow out some teams. Like, I don't see the
Which
game against the
we are
Raiders.
not used to that at all. Miami does
Like,
not blow people out.
like against Carolina, I don't see that game being close. Against the Raiders, I don't see that game being close. That's what I mean. Like, there are going to be some games this year where you're like, holy heck, the Dolphins are really taking it to him. And with the point differential that he's going to get in those games, I like Mike McDaniel. He's not a bad coach. His first year last year made it to the playoffs, almost won a first round game.
Man rips
So,
vapes on the fucking sideline, so
man is the
he's cooking
most.
something up.
Yeah, and he's a great local guy. He's gone to the Heat playoff games, the last 2 of them at home. He actually went to Morant's game earlier in the season. So, yeah, I like Mike McDaniel winning Coach of the Year. Though I do hope Dan Campbell wins it because he earned it last year. But I think this year Mike McDaniel gets it.
Yeah, we're totally not homers, not biased at all. Not just picking all of our teams to win awards.
Hey, I didn't pick Tua to win MVP, which I mean,
If you would have said that, I would have just.
he was on my top 5, but I mean, I could have picked that. So,
and then we did miss comeback player of the year, but we both know who that's going to be.
yeah,
if
Damar Hamlin.
If Damar Hamlin doesn't win it, it's because he didn't play.
Yeah, it's either him or Tua. So
it's him or Tua. So we'll see. If DeMar Hamlin takes the field, he's winning comeback player of the year, which deservedly so. If he's able to play in an NFL game again, then successfully, then he definitely deserves it. Um, Still hoping everything turns out okay with him. But that's it for the NFL. I don't think there's going to be too much upcoming to talk about unless something happens in camps. Apparently, Will Levis is already making everybody happy with the throws he's making in training camp. Don't give a
Mhm.
shit. Show it to me in the regular season.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple more notes. We do have some hockey news to talk about. Not too much because this is definitely not a hockey pod, as Alex is the bare minimum knowledgeable of hockey. So we did have his local team, who he is you are a bandwagon Panthers fan. I'm not afraid to say that.
I have a hat
Absolutely,
from 2019 in my
absolutely,
closet.
he's absolutely a bandwagon fan. Don't let him tell you otherwise. The Panthers get by the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Carolina Hurricanes get past the New Jersey Devils, setting up a Southern Eastern Conference Finals, which is not something that is often happening in the NHL.
Hmm.
Like I said last episode, the Panthers are a good team. They won the President's Trophy last year, squeaked in this year, but the East was really tough. I'm taking Carolina. I'm sorry. I know you're going to take the Panthers. Carolina's just Sebastian Aho is just too good. So home ice advantage in Carolina is real. Their defense is outstanding. Their penalty kill is top 3 in the league. Give me Carolina in 6. And then out in the West, we had Vegas squeak by. I don't want to say squeak by. They beat the Oilers in 6. Poor Connor McDavid. I would ask for a trade if I'm him. That guy puts up. He's gonna be the next Gretzky, and he can't even make a fucking Western Conference final. Poor guy. Um, Vegas gets by them in Game 6, and then we had the Dallas Stars get past the Seattle Kraken. The underdogs of the playoffs, the second year that they've been in the league. Um, it's really it's a Southern finals. Like,
It's the least amount of distance traveled for all the teams. Like the
yeah,
only way it could have been closer is if Tampa Bay was playing Florida
yeah,
in the Eastern Conference.
yeah. It's gonna be a really Southern finals. I know a lot of old heads in hockey are like they're not very happy. This just proves that hockey works in the South, except for in Phoenix, which I'll talk about in a minute because there's something big happening today out here. But yeah, guys, there is something big
All
out
right.
here happening, so I'll mention it in a minute. But taking Carolina in 6, and I'm gonna take Dallas in 7. Uh, Jake Ottinger, great goalie. Joe Pavelski, great guy. Give me the Stars. Jason Robertson is amazing. No one's gonna know who he is. He's insanely good. I don't know how many points he had. I think he was close to 100. Great guy. Give me the Stars. Hurricanes versus Stars. Give me the Canes. They're good. Their defense is locked down. Sebastian Aho is great. Their goaltending is mid, but defense wins championships. Give me the Canes in 7 against the Stars in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, just give me the opposite. So I'm taking Florida. I'm taking Florida at 7. I think the Panthers have been really good in the playoffs. They've been playing up to what they were last season when they were the 1 seed and lost. So now I think as a 8 seed, they've just come alive and have really shown out in the postseason. And I think that continues. They beat Carolina in 7. And I like the Golden Knights. I mean, Vegas has been really consistent ever since becoming an NHL franchise. I think they're going to take it over Dallas. It could be some of the quickest trips and least layovers for any team. Like the other possibility could have been Florida against Seattle in the Stanley Cup, which would have been
That would
insane
have
for
been
travel.
crazy.
Would have been insane for travel. But I mean, if Dallas plays Carolina or Florida, it's not that big of a deal. Even
Yeah.
Vegas isn't that crazy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm taking Dallas to lose. I'm taking Vegas in the Western Conference. And give me the Panthers in 7. I'm not
This
gonna.
guy.
Vamos gatos, right, Cats? Okay,
Vamos Gaza. This fucking guy.
vamos los gatos.
This man
And
couldn't
listen,
name. He can't name 3 players on the Panthers right now.
Bobrovsky, Ekblad, and Tkachuk, the
Huh?
MVP.
Say that name again.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
What's his
Tkachuk.
first name? What's his first name?
Who cares?
His name's Matthew, and his last name's Kachuk. Who was his dad?
Tkachuk. Another NHL legend.
Yeah, Keith Kachuk. This guy.
There you go. Keith Kachuk.
This guy's the biggest homer
Hey,
bandwagon
I never said
buy.
I watched any of the games. I just said I rooted for them.
All right. Well, I think
Uh,
I think the Canes are taking the cup this year. Storm Surge. It's great. Carolina hasn't won a cup since like '04, the lockout season, I think. Um,
mhm.
they're due. I hate Jack Eichel. I will not root for the Knights. Dallas, I don't have a problem with if they get out of the Western Conference. Cool. I really don't care like if any of these teams win the cup. Like there's no big names. There's no Toronto, Boston, Detroit. None of these big name hitters are out here anymore. So it's kind of like it's good for hockey, I think, to grow it in the South. That it's like, hey, the four best teams this year that are left are all Southern teams. Vegas isn't South, but it's Southern humidity and heat, and it's hot. It's. I think it's good for the game. I don't care what the old heads have to say. Well, there's no Canadian teams. Screw them. Don't care. But I did allude to there being big news in Phoenix today, and that is because there is a vote to let the Phoenix Coyotes build a stadium here in Tempe. Now,
Okay.
now the reason this is important, if this bill does not pass, the Coyotes have nowhere to play, and they will have to
Oh.
leave. We might be looking and we'll know by tonight, probably 8 or 9 my time, whether or not we're looking at the Arizona Coyotes having to move to Houston, Atlanta, Quebec. So it is a big vote tonight because Gary Bettman, forever since this team has been in Phoenix, has said that it's going to work in the desert. It's proven it has not. They've done everything they can. They're at what essentially is a college stadium at Mullet Arena right now that seats 4,000, which I will say went to 2 games there. It is a good atmosphere, but it's not where an NHL team needs to be playing. If it does pass, they've scouted out a piece of land next to the airport that has its own concerns, as it is currently a hazardous waste dump. So whether or not this passes, they've said that they're going to pay for the stadium privately. So whatever the owner wants to pay for, he's paying for. The thing is, they're making the taxpayers pay for the cleanup of the hazardous material site and to build the infrastructure. So that's what the vote's on tonight. I'm hoping it doesn't pass. As a resident, I'm not a Coyotes fan. Could care less about a stadium. Um,
hmm
and hey, I'm all for expansion. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think the Coyotes just need to leave Arizona. I'm all for movement just because I like chaos.
Yeah. I mean, it's like remember when the Hartford Whalers left Connecticut and then they moved to Carolina, became the Hurricanes. This is a very different scenario because the actual hometown of Hartford loved the Whalers and wanted them to stay, even though it was a small market. But like Arizona, didn't they just make like the Western Conference playoffs like 2 years ago?
Oh, no, 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 no. It's been a
No,
while. They were
been a
good.
while.
They were good back when the Wings were good, back in like the early like 2000s, late like 2008,
Yeah.
2009, like that time. When Detroit was in the Western Conference, um they played each other in the playoffs quite a few times. Like that was the last time they've been good. They've been atrocious since then.
Oh, then maybe they do have the right to leave and rebrand. 'Cause I'm thinking more like Hartford was pretty shit when they left Hartford and became Carolina, and then they made the Stanley Cup final like 2 years later.
Yeah.
So it could be one of those situations with Arizona. I mean, I wouldn't mind a team in Atlanta, but it's just you got to refigure the conferences because you can't have a
Yeah,
team in
I
Atlanta
mean,
being the West.
Atlanta's already failed twice anyway, so do you give them a
Yeah.
third chance? Because they had the Thrashers that, honestly, the branding was great. The Atlanta Thrashers branding logo jerseys was great. It just didn't work in Atlanta. Before the Thrashers, they had the Atlanta Flames. Before they moved to Calgary, that didn't work either.
hmm
I don't know if you give Atlanta a third chance. Houston has never had a shot. They had the Houston Arrows and the not the WHL. It was the hockey league that Gordie Howe played in. Like that, I can't think of it. But they kind of competed with the NHL. I can't think off the top of my head. They had a team back then. They've never had an NHL team. And then obviously Quebec City, Canada has been wanting a new team. Quebec is probably the best spot. So we'll see. I Rumor is the bill will pass, which kind of paves way to building a new stadium. But then obviously, if the hazardous cleanup, you can't clean it up. We're
hmm
looking at expansion anyway. So there's still a lot of steps. But yeah, that vote is happening tonight.
It's funny coming full circle because the Phoenix Coyotes were the old Winnipeg Jets, and the Atlanta Thrashers became the new Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
if Phoenix, if Arizona moved to Atlanta, they'd be following where the previous team was the Winnipeg
Yeah,
Jets.
it's just a circle.
Yeah, the whole thing's a circle. But we'll see what happens tonight. I mean, I'm very actually interested to see where they end up.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. Unless you got something else you want to add.
No, I was gonna say I think that's it as well. I can't think of. I actually don't think we missed anything this time. So
Yeah, we covered it all. So, I mean, we will be watching the NBA draft lottery tonight to see who takes Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson.
please
We'll
God,
s-
I will be praying to my Detroit Pistons altar that I'm going to set up after this. I'll have candles. If we don't win, you're welcome to tweet me and offer your condolences and because I will not be seen for a week because we'll be in another year of depression as a Pistons fan.
Yep. We'll see. I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen, but hopefully, if you don't get one, at least you get two. Like, if you don't get number one, at least I want you to get number
Well,
two.
see, at the point we don't need Scoot. Like I would rather just trade back at
But you
that
can
point.
trade. That's what I'm saying. You can trade the
Yeah,
pick.
yeah. I'd rather trade two than take two.
Yeah. We'll see what happens tonight with that. We'll keep following the NBA and NHL playoffs, which start this week, tomorrow. And we'll let you know if anything else breaks in football. But until next time, we'll catch you for episode
Did you
21.
not have a question of the day?
Not for today. For
Oh,
next
okay.
time. I have it
I don't
ready.
I don't have one either. So all
Yeah, no, we're doing it for
right,
next
all right.
time.
Good enough.
But
Good enough for me.
all right. Until next time, I'm Alex,
I'm Taylor.
and we'll see you then.